Hi, how you doing? Thanks so much for being here. I'm instructor Dwayne Jenkins. In today's video lesson, we're going to be talking about improvising, how to improvise on your guitar and how to get better at it. And what we're going to be talking about today in this particular video is how to improvise with the Ionian mode. Now, in my last video series, I showed you the 7 modes, okay, that come out of the 7 notes of the major scale. We're not going to really go into that into detail in this video, but I would highly recommend you learn those because they're going to help you to master the fretboard, okay? To really master them. That's how you really get good at playing guitar, is the better you know this thing, the better you know the fretboard of your guitar and what it can do, and you can bring out the mysteries of it. Unlock the mysteries of the fretboard. That's what it's about. That's how you get good at playing the guitar, and it doesn't matter if you're playing rhythm or lead. The more you can unlock, the better you're going to do and the better you're going to sound, and you're going to be able to do a lot of really cool stuff, okay? Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to improvise with the Ionian mode. Just a few tips for you, okay? So number one, the first tip is you want to remember that the Ionian mode is the major scale. Okay, I showed it to you last time in G right here. Now you can tell it's the do, re, mi. That's what it is. So if you're playing a scale and it doesn't sound like do, re, mi, it's not the major scale. The major scale in all keys, all 12 keys that we use, is going to have the do, re, mi. It doesn't matter where you put it. If I'm playing right here in B major, right here, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, it's going to sound that same way every time. All right, so make sure you remember that the Ionian mode is the major scale, and make sure you know that major scale major scale very, very well. Okay, the better you know it, the more you can pull out of it, the more you can get out of it. Okay. So that's the first thing. Number two, make sure you know it in all the keys along the fretboard, okay? If you master that pattern that I taught you in that video, you're going to be able to know it. And I'll probably put that in the link below, the Ionian mode. So that way, if you haven't figured that out yet, you didn't get a chance to watch that video, it'll be in the link below for the Ionian mode, okay? So I would highly recommend, make sure you know that. Make sure you know that pattern, no matter where you play it. Let's say you're playing right here in E major, right here at 12th fret. Make sure you know that, okay? It's going to be the same. That's the thing I love about the guitar is its patterns. If you think in patterns, it'll be a lot easier to learn. A lot easier to learn chords if you think in shapes. A lot easier to learn scales if you think in patterns, okay? So, make sure that you know that scale, the major scale note in all keys, okay? Number two, what you want to do with these modes is you want to focus on the half steps, where they're at, because the modes, that's what changes in each one of them is where the half steps are, okay? And that's what gives them their character. Like for instance, in the major scale, your half steps are between the 3 and the 4, and the 7 and the 1. The 7 and the 1, the 3 and the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, or octave. Okay, 7 notes to the scale. In the Ionian mode, the 3 and the 4 next to each other, and the 7 and the octave are next to each other. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 octave. Because that's the character of the mode, is those half steps. Okay, half step, if you're not sure what that is, that's 1 fret. A whole step is 2 frets. So in this particular scale, let's say we're playing it here in G, or it doesn't really matter where you play it, like I just mentioned to you, we'll just say right here, for instance, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, okay? So make sure that you have that down really well. Make sure you know where those are at, all right? It's very, very important in all keys, okay? Number two, oh yeah, that was number 2. Sorry about that. So you focus on the half steps. Number 2. Number 3, don't always focus on the chords, okay? I have a lot of people, you know, they ask me about the chords, you know, they think they need to know the chord progression. And you don't always need to know that, okay? And a lot of times if you get into a situation, especially with improvising, you're not going to know what the chords are. And then, you know, people get a little, I don't know what the chords are, I don't know what to play, I don't know where to go, okay? And improvising is just making stuff on the spot. You might not always know the chords. Now, if you write the song and you write the chords out and you say, okay, I'm playing C, G goes here, blah, 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 goes here, you know exactly where it's going, so you can match that when you're playing, okay? But that's not necessarily improvising. Improvising is when you're making stuff up on the spot. spot. So don't necessarily worry about the chord progression, just be in key. Like if it's in the key of G major, just know it's going to be right here, or it's going to be up here at the 15th fret if we're in the key of F major, you know. Okay, there it is right there. And we're actually using some of the notes out of the Dorian mode too. Okay, you could do F in a few positions. You could do it right here at the 1st fret, where you also use some of the open notes. You could do it a little bit easier up here at the 13th fret. You could also do the F right here at the 5th string at the 8th fret, right here. F is right here. See, so there's 3 different spots, 1, 2, 3, and each one of those spots is going to give you a different tonality, a different color. So that's one thing that I was mentioning earlier about knowing that scale and knowing where it is within the fretboard. And it's just a matter of just working with it. That's how you know it. You can write it out if you'd like and study that, but a lot of it is just knowing where it's at. Now, if you do happen to just, you say, okay, I want to study, work on this and create a chord progression, to work on your chord, your backing track and work on your improvisation, and you want to create a chord, well, make sure that you create them out of the key itself, okay? Because all those are going to work. Those notes in that scale are going to work with them chords. Like for instance, let's say we're playing the key of F major, right? F major right here. Okay, we know that if you study those other videos that I showed you, the 1 is major, 2 is minor, 3 is minor, 4th is major, 5th is major, 6th is minor, so forth, so forth. So, if let's say we wanted to create a simple chord progression, 3 chords, let's say we wanted to do the 1, 2, 4, back to the 1, something like that. We'd say, okay, the 1 is the F major, 2 would be G minor, 4 would be B flat major, and then back to the F major for the 1. So that's a nice little chord progression out of 3 chords that you can improvise over in the key of F. So F major was right here at the 1st fret. That's the 1. G minor is the 2. We got the 3 would be the B. I'm sorry, not the B, the A. I'm sorry. A minor would be the 3. We're going to skip the 3 and go to the 4, which is a major. So we're going to B flat major. So F, G minor, B flat major, back to F, which is the 1. And that's just a simple chord progression that you can solo over the top of and work on your improvisation. And then, of course, number 4, oh yeah, that was number 4, sorry. Number 5 is don't be so analytical, okay? Analytical is fine if you have time to do it. If somebody gives you a song and they say, and you know what the chord progression is, and then you have time to go home or whatever and sit down and work out the solo for it, that's fine, that's great. When I was studying like Jimmy Page and stuff, I'd read articles with him where he said that he would come up with like 4 or 5 different solos and then pick the one that he liked the best. Sometimes he might, pick half of this one and half of this one and combine them. Okay, but he had time to do that. Same thing with Randy Rhoads. When Randy Rhoads, Ozzy said that when Randy would go into the studio to create a solo, he would just go and just lock himself in the studio and just work that stuff out methodically, and that's why his solos sound so awesome, is because he took the time to really work that stuff out. Now, if you take somebody like Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath, he, on the other hand, didn't take it that approach. What he would do is would just make it up on the spot, because he came from a very blues jazz background, and that's how they do a lot of that in blues and jazz. Don't worry about the chords, just worry about the key. Make sure you're in the proper key, because you're not always going to know the chords. That's, once again, that's improvisation. You're not going to know a lot of stuff. You just got to make it up on the spot. Okay? And you're going to have to go through your trial and error. Okay? That's another thing I notice a lot of people don't want to do, is they don't want to go through the trial and error. You have to go through the learning curve. And anything you learn to do something new, you've got to go through the learning curve. So the quicker you go through the learning curve, the quicker you're going to get to the fun stuff. So be sure, just in your mind, got to go through the learning curve, go through it. The quicker you get through it, the better you can get to the fun stuff. So take these 5 tips to heart, work on your Ionian mode, and then next week we'll work on the Dorian mode, Phrygian mode, and I'll show you how to improvise with those as well. So if you have any questions, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, like the video, share it if you can. If people are interested in improvising, they need to learn how to do it. This video will really help them out with that, all right? And be sure to check that out. Be sure to check out my book. I have this book called right here, How to Play Guitar Modes for Beginners and Intermediate Student. As you can see, it's a pretty thick book. Tells you all kinds of great things about the modes and how to work with them to improve your guitar playing. You can check that out on my website at dwaynesguitarlessons.com. I'll leave the link below. And until our next video, keep practicing, work on these tips, and in our next video, we'll talk about the Dorian mode. So until then, take care.
Audio Jungle.